Ladies and gentlemen, can you please rise for His Honor Brigadier General, the Honorable J.J. Grant, Lieutenant Governor of Nova Scotia, and Her Honor, Mrs. Joan Grant. You can please be seated. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm the Executive Director of the Nova Scotia Office of Aboriginal Affairs. My name is Justin Houston, and I want to welcome you to the 28th Annual Treaty Day Celebrations and Awards Ceremony. This is an important day in Nova Scotia, as it gives us all an opportunity to recognize our treaty relationship and to celebrate Mi'kmaq elders and youth. And it is my distinct pleasure today to be able to host this event. First, I would like to call upon Grand Chief Ben Siliboy for an opening prayer. Please stand if you are able.
Jogi me mulgudi orians and woon. Klamagit lat matus la mountain mum. Couldn't go in urmaud, a mad udis nickel, at the edge. No chinen was or been ship to toes and make dead me was already done and ship to enemy of Landamula ladies and now there was a hoiki till his ship to Salamak email. Telamugules miego. Abnegis go clamok to Penego in the no now. Tilabisic tie you an item new. Help Kianis come to Abisic twin. Hello, well, dear Mugnin man's team of the garden. Kiss no uncle Winchell Coach Yarway, at Liach. Tante was it wrote in this come out in this come on this come. Amen. Kishka was get me what Mojida. Tante, one Peggy Sinclair here. We read ma. Start to we one. Chibas will tip niggas, you know, oblad addict, kayuksi to. Kanadana 28 years connect difference. Kaneka Adelu Adel Kigabnola, Dan Elwood Gabno to Pejidai to kayuksi. I'd like to thank all the people that came for our celebrations. I've been here quite a while when Donald started, and just looking at the crowd today and compared to the crowd that started when we started our treaty days, there were a lot of people, well, there was a few people that came along our treaty days from the government. I don't know if they were afraid of it, but in the last few years now, it came a long ways. When I first started with the other mayor, Mayor John, which I knew very well, and he got the thing. Seems to me that he got the thing off the ground with the help, and a lot of more people showed up at the Treaty Day, and today it's a big crowd, and I'm very pleased, and I hope to continue. Walalio.
I would like to now call upon Elder John William Cremo for the smudging ceremony. Thank you. I would like to now call upon Janine Dunlop, Regional Director General of Aboriginal Affairs in Northern Development Canada, to provide a few remarks.
Thanks, Justin. Good afternoon, everyone. Elders, Grand Chief Sillaboy, Grand Captain Denny, Chiefs, Your Honor Lieutenant Governor and Mrs. Grant, councillors, community members, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to be here today on behalf of Aboriginal Affairs and Northern Development Canada for this truly Nova Scotia celebration. I'm actually from Ontario, born and raised, and there's nothing like this in Ontario, so I'm delighted to be here to participate in this event. Treaty Day is just the beginning of a month of celebration and reflection on the history and culture of the Mi'kmaq in Nova Scotia. This annual event marks the signing of important accords of peace and friendship, sacred agreements founded on the principles of trust, cooperation, and mutual respect. More than 2 centuries ago, these historic treaties established a partnership between the Mi'kmaq and the Crown. These celebrations remind us of the many contributions the Mi'kmaq have made to both Canada and Nova Scotia over the years. From Native veterans on the battlefields of Europe to the Aboriginal youth of today excelling in their studies of the Mi'kmaq language, there is a lot to be thankful for. While we celebrate the past, let's also look forward to the future. We must continue to work together to improve the lives of First Nations people in Nova Scotia and across Canada. Thanks for the opportunity to participate in this wonderful celebration.
It is now my pleasure to call upon Julie Towers to provide opening remarks on behalf of the province. Julie?
Hang on. There. The Premier is here, and I'm here. So, on behalf of the Government of Nova Scotia, I would like to welcome everyone here today to the 28th Annual Mi'kmaq Treaty Day celebrations. And I'm honored to welcome in particular Grand Chief Ben Sillaboy, Grand Captain Andrew Denny, and certainly the Grand Council members and a number of the Mi'kmaq chiefs that are here. And council members, elders, Mi'kmaq community members, we have a really good representation. It's excellent. I'm also pleased to welcome certainly His Honor Brigadier General, the Honorable J.J. Grant, and Her Honor Mrs. Joan Grant that I just had the pleasure to meet. And I did notice a couple of our ministers are here, Minister Delory, Minister Ince, and there may be others. It's a really good mixture of folks here, and as the Grand Chief said, you know, good participation, lots of people, lots of color, lots of excitement. Premier McNeil apologizes for being unable to attend this ceremony. Right up until this morning, he was coming. He's been called away. You may be hearing in the media there's some urgent matters underway. Treaty Day is an important day in the life of Nova Scotia. It's an opportunity to sit back and reflect on the importance of the treaty relationship. It's also an opportunity to recognize the achievements of a number of Mi'kmaq elders and youth. We're very proud of our relationship. I certainly am. When I was asked to take on the position as the deputy, it was an excellent opportunity for me. I've gotten to be friends with a number of people over the years. And I'm meeting more all the time, including our federal colleagues. Janine and I have gotten to know each other in the last couple of months. So we're actively using 3 mechanisms right now, formal mechanisms. There's a consultation terms of reference. There's a Made in Nova Scotia negotiation process, and the Mi'kmaq Nova Scotia Canada Tripartite Forum. But as we all know, it's often the informal that builds very much the relationships that have been in place for hundreds of years and continue. We continue to support and coordinate collaboration and partnership in education, employment and training, economic development, and culture. We're to foster long-term community well-being. We're supporting capacity building of Aboriginal organizations and communities in the province through key strategic investments. It's focused on a number of areas: Aboriginal women, urban Aboriginal people, natural resource management, cultural awareness, and legal support services. One of the major things coming up in Nova Scotia very soon is going to be the National Aboriginal Women's Summit in Member 2, October 20th to 22nd. The focus is on empowerment, equity, and leadership. We're proud to co-host that with the Mi'kmaq in Member 2 very soon. That summit will provide a forum for governments and community-based representatives to share expertise and knowledge, showcase innovative practices, and identify opportunities to work collaboratively on a range of issues, but particularly those affecting Aboriginal women, their families, and their communities. There's a lot more to come today. I know the agenda is slightly different. I'm really glad to be here. We're going to have an award ceremony now, followed by a feast, which I'm looking forward to. And on behalf of the province of Nova Scotia, I wish everyone an enjoyable Treaty Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. I now call upon His Honor Brigadier General, the Honorable J.J. Grant, Lieutenant Governor of Nova Scotia, to provide remarks.
Grand Chief Syllaboy, Grand Captain Denny, Grand Council members, Mi'kmaq chiefs, councillors and elders, distinguished guests, members of the government, ladies and gentlemen, friends. As the Queen's representative in Nova Scotia, I'm very honored to join you today in celebrating Treaty Day. Earlier this morning, Mrs. Grant and I are pleased to welcome many of you to Government House to raise the Mi'kmaq Nation flag as a symbol of the special relationship that exists between the Crown and the Mi'kmaq people. The flag will be flown for the entirety of Mi'kmaq History Month at the ceremonial home of all Nova Scotians in recognition of the central role played by the Mi'kmaq people in the history and development of our province. This morning, I also had the privilege of presenting Dr. Donald Julian with the Vice-Regal Commendation for his invaluable service to the Lieutenant Governor's Office. Dr. Julian's advice and assistance has helped to strengthen the connection between the Crown and the Mi'kmaq Nation and is truly worthy of recognition. It is important that we take the time to acknowledge the outstanding contributions people of all ages make to their communities and to our province as a whole, so that we all may express our thanks and affirm our shared vision of a peaceful and prosperous future. The spirit of Treaty Day, and the one we should all take forward through Mi'kmaq History Month, is of celebrating a peaceful and harmonious relation between neighbors. Unquestionably, it is the spirit we must keep alive each and every day of the year. On behalf of Her Majesty the Queen, I extend my sincere congratulations to all the award recipients today. Thank you for inviting me to share in today's events. Thank you. Walalala.
Thank you, Your Honor. I now call upon Chief Sid Peters, co-chair of the Assembly of Nova Scotia Mi'kmaq Chiefs, to provide his remarks.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's really pleased to see the turnout today. I really think the venue is an excellent spot. I remember last year when we were downstairs, I just felt that the ceiling was a bit too low, and it was really difficult to hear the speakers as well as during the awards. But I think this is a much better venue, and I'd like to thank the organizers for allowing us to be here. So again, on behalf of the Assembly of Nova Scotia Mi'kmaq Chiefs, I would like to welcome you to our Mi'kmaq Treaty Day celebration. We are honored to welcome Grand Chief Ben Syllaboy, Grand Captain Andale Dene, and many other members of the Mi'kmaq Grand Council, fellow Mi'kmaq chiefs, councillors, elders, youth, and community members. I would also like to take this moment to especially recognize and welcome the Honorable J.J. Grant, Lieutenant Governor of Nova Scotia, and His Honor, as also the members of the Nova Scotia Legislature and fellow Nova Scotians. Each year on October 1st, we come together to celebrate the unique and special relationship the Mi'kmaq of Nova Scotia have developed with the federal and provincial governments. Sorry about that, I tried to skip a page. The spirit and intent of our treaties and our treaty relationship is one of cooperation, reconciliation, and mutual respect. Our treaties, through the framework of peace and friendship, the nation-to-nation relationship we have established, continues to exemplify in the shared commitment to future and prosperity of our communities. As we all are aware, we are extremely proud of the court cases that have led to the recognition of our Aboriginal and treaty rights. This year, we celebrate the 15th anniversary of the Marshall decision. Junior Marshall's legacy has been firmly entrenched in the history of our nation and our country. On September 17, 1999, the Supreme Court of Canada recognized the rights of the Mi'kmaq and offered renewed hope of many Mi'kmaq. Hope of an improved way of life, hope to end the cycle of poverty, hope to earn a livelihood in a dignified and independent manner. As we celebrate the landmark anniversary, we must remember that the Mi'kmaq are still seeking the recognition and the implementation of our treaty rights. Together, we must continue to advocate for what is right. Success in their courtrooms brought forth the need for us to further our own discussions on how we best can implement our treaty rights now and for the next 7 generations. Our treaties have created a legacy that connects us to our past and most reach forward well into our future. Yes, Treaty Day is about celebrating, but it is also about reflecting on the sacrifices and triumphs of our people. As I am sure you saw on the Treaty Day poster, we lost some great leaders this year. These 4 gentlemen were just an example of individuals, past and present, who blazed a future for the Mi'kmaq Nation. To our elders, especially those being honored today, you are the keepers of our culture, values, and traditions. You are helping to keep our story alive. It is you who have provided the foundation upon which we will continue to build our nationhood. Thank you for your contributions, and we honor you. To the youth who are being honored today, you are the leaders in your own way. You have demonstrated a strong cultural connection and have used your energy and talents to give back to our community and nation. It is your passion and innovation that inspires us. You give us confidence for the future. We encourage you always to be passionate in what you believe in, and we look to how you will guide our people in the future. Our treaties are also about acknowledging in relationships the past, the present, and the future. Today we remain proud of our ancestors, representing both the Mi'kmaq and the Crown, and how they saw the need for us to come together on behalf of our respective communities. As our relationship and trust continues to grow, we will be able to move forward with very important discussions on how we can best implement our treaty and Aboriginal rights. The treaties that we honor today are the foundations for the discussions and consultation that we have with Nova Scotia and Canada. We are dedicated to creating a future that the next 7 generations of Mi'kmaq can enjoy and know that they will be living in a way that connects them with all things that make us Mi'kmaq. Together, we are building a proud Mi'kmaq nation, but before we move forward, we must come together, unify our values, unify in understanding, unified by our culture. The vision of a strong, independent Mi'kmaq nation rests in our hands. Thank you again for celebrating with us today. As we continue to reflect on our friendship we established centuries ago, we know that right now, right here, we can take the necessary steps to establish a better day for all Nova Scotians. Wala Leon, thank you.
Thank you, Chief Peters. I now call upon Mi'kmaq Grand Council Grand Captain Andrew Denny to provide remarks.
Squally Bills, a song why. Tizakamo, Captain Nach, Lieutenant Governor, Premier Representative, Julie Towers, Regional Director, Janine Dunlap, Sakamach, he's a goog, not halted, I'm I don't know if I like this. My stomach is growling and, I don't know if I can speak as long as I usually do. But anyway, it is what it is. I'm just so honored to be here. And first of all, I want to congratulate all the recipients of the awards today. I know you make us so proud. And before I even go into my speech, I would just like to reflect on the positive summer that showcased Mi'kmaq and maritime hospitality. I guess you remember that the celebration of Aboriginal Day Live was an amazing celebration hosted on the Halifax waterfront that brought together thousands in celebration of Aboriginal entertainment, and it was a nationally televised event. Also, again, in a time of great adversity for the AFN, we welcomed their General Assembly in Halifax in the spirit and intent of peace and friendship after the Halifax area set the tone for an amazing 3 days of rebuilding unity for the First Nations of Canada. I want to thank the leaders in this room. I better put this away, eh? I'm writing my speech as I go along, as you can see. I just want to thank the leaders in this room, both Mi'kmaq and non-Mi'kmaq, and the Halifax Regional Municipality for those efforts, and that ensuring a collaborative effort that showcase what is possible when we work together. Our elders teach us that Jibuktuk, or Halifax, is a sacred place of peace and friendship, and that we must continue to remember the original intent and spirit of our treaties. We must continue to build on that relationship. We must always remember we are not enemies. We are allies. When Mi'kmaq communities succeed, so do the surrounding non-Mi'kmaq areas. With that in mind, we celebrate Treaty Day as proclaimed by Grand Chief Donald Marshall so many years ago. And it was based on our ancestors' promises in the Treaty of 1752. We gather today to be reminded of the achievements and how far we have come from the days where our Aboriginal and treaty rights were denied by the courts and the provincial and federal governments. It is amazing how far we have come in this generation. Slowly, the Supreme Court of Canada is generating the context to understanding our Aboriginal and treaty claims. This year, all the justices of the Supreme Court have affirmed a declaration of Aboriginal title of the traditional Chikutin Nation in BC. The court held that a semi-nomadic nation can establish Aboriginal title even if it uses their ancestral land only some of the time. It took the Chikutin over 150 years to establish their title to the land, with the last 25 years tied up in the Canadian courts. Many Chikutin elders, in their own language, shared their knowledge at trial and prepared the foundation for the success of their claim. Their claim was based on Indigenous knowledge of their culture, of their language, of their ceremonies. It is so important that we as Mi'kmaq continue to recognize the importance of our language, ceremonies, and our connection to the land. You know, when an elder was recently given an opportunity and an award, I remember him saying, it is all right to learn another language and to even speak another language, but don't throw your language away. You know, and that really hit home. And I took three major things from that kinship took place. Firstly, it is the continued importance of the Mi'kmaq language and knowledge and understanding our claims. I continue to ask our people to learn your language, speak your language. We must never forget that our knowledge and our traditions about our land are deeply rooted within the language itself. The day we lose our language as Mi'kmaq is the day that we lose everything that our ancestors preserved for us. We must not let this happen. Secondly, our unextinguished Aboriginal tidal lands protected by our treaties is the collective responsibility of all Mi'kmaq to preserve. The Supreme Court recognized that an Aboriginal title is for succeeding generations to use and benefit from. This is an important understanding for all of us to be reminded of. Our ancestors were the caretakers of this land. The land is not to be sold or developed to the point where it is no longer sustainable or enjoyable to our community members. We have been taught as Mi'kmaq that Netugalink guides Mi'kmaq to ensure that our lands, lakes, rivers, forests continue to be protected. We have responsibilities as Mi'kmaq to preserve our environment for generations of Mi'kmaq yet to come. I applaud the recent moratorium and ban of fracking by the Mi'kmaq leaders of Nova Scotia and, of course, our provincial counterparts. Our elders have presented to the Grand Council and asked us to take a greater role ensuring that our waters and our environment are protected. We have heard from our elders and our people, and we plan to be more involved in the stewardship of our land. We look forward to having discussion with the Crown representatives on how we can move forward on this as treaty allies. And as our treaty allies and partners, we continue to remind the Crown and our partners throughout the Maritimes that our land and environment will always be more important than development, money, or temporary jobs. Lastly, the Premier of BC's realization after reading the court's opinion that Aboriginal title does exist after a decade of denial. Moreover, the government's embracing of the court's decision and working to generate a true partnership with First Nations. It is time that the premiers of the Atlantic reach the same realization, that our Aboriginal title and rights exist without denial, without question, and of course, without dispute. Our treaties have never signed away our Mi'kmaq title to the Crown. After all of our court victories, we await the realization that a Mi'kmaq title is a reality. Another Supreme Court case decision this year in a Treaty 3 case reinforces my third point. In the Grassy Narrows First Nation case, the court held that an Ojibwe Nation's treaty with the Queen had to be constitutionally implemented by both the federal and provincial governments. While the court noted that the promises made in Treaty 3 were promises to the Queen, much like the Mi'kmaq treaties, the court affirmed the provincial government in issue of land had a constitutional obligation to uphold the honour of the King or Queen when dealing with either an Aboriginal or treaty interest. Our legal advisors tell us that this means that Nova Scotia has a constitutional duty to implement our treaties without federal supervision based on consultation with the Mi'kmaq communities. This only seems to make sense to me because Nova Scotia and other provinces in Mi'kmaq territory have benefited for centuries with the unlawful confiscation and of Aboriginal lands and resources. It is time for Nova Scotia and other Atlantic maritime provinces to make treaty implementation a priority. The courts have cleared away the confusion and the denial of the past. It is time that Nova Scotia and the Atlantic teach not only Nova Scotians but Atlantic Canadians about the need to implement the treaty rights and consult with them how to implement the Mi'kmaq treaties. Implementing the Mi'kmaq treaties are essential to shaping Nova Scotia and the provinces in the Atlantic into one of the greatest societies in the world, based on peace, friendship, acceptance, and sharing. Now, turning to another topic, a very important topic, Mi'kmaq identity. In October of last year, we had a chance to speak to the United Nations Special Rapporteur, Dr. James Anaya. During our discussion with him, we relayed our disappointment with Canada in the creation of the Hollywood Mi'kmaq Band without involvement or consultation of the Mi'kmaq leadership of Mi'kma'ki or the Mi'kmaq Grand Council. The Grand Council was never consulted about the 20,000 new Mi'kmaq that were recognized within our territories, or even the over 100,000 applications that have been received claiming to be Mi'kmaq. I want to be clear with the Mi'kmaq people and the governments. The issue of Mi'kmaq identity is an important one. It is important to the Mi'kmaq because as Mi'kmaq, we are taught that as Mi'kmaq we have rights, but with those rights come some very clear responsibilities. These are not individual rights, but the rights of a nation. I often wonder how many of these 100,000 applicants to be part of the Hollywood Mi'kmaq are aware of the responsibilities that come of being a Mi'kmaq, or do they just want to access the resources without any thought of the effort and sacrifices of our ancestors and even the leaders that maintain these rights today? So within the federal laws, I will remind all governments that you can make anyone you like an Indian, give them Indian Act cards, any benefits, but only Mi'kmaq can recognize someone as a Mi'kmaq. We have never relinquished this right to identify who is and who isn't one of us. We have never relinquished the mandate given to us by our ancestors to determine who can practice these rights in accordance with the spirit and intent of our Aboriginal and treaty rights. We must strive to ensure that all those who practice Mi'kmaq rights are bound by the sacred responsibilities that go with them. Now, before I conclude my speech, there is one more issue. It is my treaty duty to bring up to Nova Scotia and the Atlantic the need for action on the missing and murdered Aboriginal women. I have been deeply troubled. Well, I and we as the Grand Council have been deeply troubled by the scope and the continued problems surrounding the missing and murdered Aboriginal women. I am deeply saddened with each case that I hear of, and in this and other provinces. Sometimes I wonder about my own daughters. If they went missing, would there be a public outcry because I am the Grand Captain? Or would they be just another statistic because of the color of their skin or where they come from or the language that they speak? Yeah. And looking at our history, and when we look at Grand Chief's son, you all know his name, Donald Marshall Jr., I guess that, that answers my question. But that is something that we have to change. With the Prime Minister's son, the Queen's son, the President's daughter, any head of state in this world, would there be a public outcry? Or what would we do? But this is something that we have to work for and we have to strive for. Now, do Nova Scotians, Maritimers, or Canadians believe that the Mi'kmaq love our women, our mothers, our sisters, or our daughters any less than any other person? I certainly hope not, but I am troubled that we have to sit and debate whether there is a need for an inquiry or an action. We need both. So we call on Nova Scotia and Canada and the Maritimes to do what is really right, do what is honourable. The women are our treaty beneficiaries too, and they deserve the protection of the crown that was promised in our peace and friendship treaties. Debate and discussion is now not needed. We want action, and of course we demand it now. Chief Peters mentioned our Treaty Day poster and the four individuals that are on it. The late Chief Lawrence Powell, of course, late Chief Stevie Marshall, Gipton's Newell Knockwood, and Gipton Reggie Maloney. But I was always also thinking of the late Premier John Savage. You know, my father made a very good friendship with Justice Minister at the time, Michael Baker, who passed away a couple of years back. You know, as we move forward, you know, in the true spirit and intent of our treaties, we have to always look back at who was here, how we did things, and how we can shape them for the future. I just want to say thank you for being able to talk for a little bit. Like I say, I'm kind of hungry, so I'm going to leave it at that. But I want to thank everybody and congratulations to all the winners. Well,
Thank you, Grand Captain Denny. And thank you, everyone, for the words of welcome and wisdom. So it is now my great pleasure to commence and start with the awards presentation component of this event. And I look out and I see a lot of hungry faces. So we're going to try to move through this quickly, but we've got a lot of great award winners, and I want to make sure that we do take the time to celebrate them. So I appreciate everyone's patience, and hopefully you've had some coffee or tea to suppress a little bit of the hunger. Oh, and I hear they're bringing out some bread. Some bread will be sent out to tables, and there they are. So do not attack the bread holders. You will receive bread at your table. So I'd like to start by introducing the winners of the Grand Chief Donald Marshall Senior Memorial Elder Awards. And today we're going to recognize two individuals who have brought honor and a lifetime of service to their communities. Since 1993, Grand Chief Donald Marshall Senior Memorial Elder Award has been presented to an individual or individuals nominated by the Aboriginal community for their contributions to their communities over their lifetimes. The recipients are chosen from the nominees by the Treaty Day Committee. And today we are recognizing the contributions of two elders. And I'm going to read both their biographies, and then I will ask the recipients and their representatives to come on stage to accept their awards. So today's first recipient, you probably all in this room know him well, is Bernie Francis. So the recipient of the Grand Chief Donald Marshall Senior Memorial Elder Award is Bernie Francis, a member to Mi'kmaq community. In 1970, Bernie was working for the John Howard Society when he realized how many Mi'kmaq had been imprisoned due to language barriers and a lack of knowledge of the European-style court system. He began acting as a translator for Mi'kmaq people that could not express themselves in English, and he later trained other Mi'kmaq court translators. Bernie and Professor Doug Smith developed the Mi'kmaq orthography, the Francis Smith writing system that allowed Mi'kmaq to express themselves without the restraints of European influences. He also taught techniques of writing and reading Mi'kmaq at Cape Breton University, McGill University, and St. Thomas University. And he has an honorary doctorate from Dalhousie University. He also co-published the Mi'kmaq Grammar of Father Pacifique with Dr. John Houston. He and Trudy Sable most recently co-published The Language of This Land, Mi'kma'ki, which I'm currently reading now. It's a great book. And this book explains the meaning of many Mi'kmaq cultural activities, traditions, and understandings of the relationship with the earth. For some of you may not know, he's an avid guitar player and songwriter, including the Burt Church song, Eskasoni song, and Dr. Granny song. He's a practitioner of Uichiru and is learning Spanish. ¿Cómo andas? So I'd like to now go on to the second recipient of the award. It's the late Libby Muse. So the recipient of the Grand Chief Donald Marshall Senior Marshall Award is late Libby Muse of Sabaganagadi Mi'kmaq community. Libby, or Aunt Lib, as she was probably affectionately known to many of you, lived in the community of Sabaganagadi all her life. and she passed away peacefully this summer, August 17th, at the age of 86. Libby saw the growth and change in Sabaganagati throughout the years and the hardships it faced. This lived experience made her an invaluable resource to the individuals and groups who wanted to know more about the history, the families, and the stories of the community. She was always very happy to share her knowledge over a cup of tea. Libby liked to talk about the many ways the community interacted through dances, fiddle music, fundraisers, wakes, powwows, and gatherings. She would often speak about St. Anne's Day celebrations and how there were always games, songs, church services, and guests from across Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and PEI. A skilled craftsperson, she and her late husband, Joseph Sobey Muse, had their baskets, wooden flowers, quill making, and beadwork in museums, collections around Mi'kma'ki, including Ontario. Libby enjoyed teaching the various crafts to students and loved to teach others and about tasks that were easy for children to learn. Her life was all about the generosity of passing on her knowledge to others. So I would now like to ask His Honor J.J. Grant and Arlene Gugu to come forward and present the Grand Chief Donald Marshall Senior Memorial Elder Awards to both recipients, Bernie Francis, as well as Elizabeth Nevin and Chastity Muse, who will be accepting on behalf of the late Libby Muse. So please come to the stage. Thank you. On to the next awards. So since 1997, the Chief Noel Doucette Memorial Youth Award has been presented to individuals nominated for their educational achievements as well as their contributions to their communities. It is my pleasure to announce that the Chief Noel Doucette Memorial Youth Award for 2014 will actually be awarded to two individuals. Our first recipient is Arden Joseph Bernard from Eskasoni. Arden is a student at the Ontario Hockey Academy in Cornwall, Ontario. He accepted a scholarship to the academy and left his community in September 2013 at the young age of 14 to pursue his hockey dream. Throughout the first year, Arden showed the invaluable traits of perseverance and determination and enjoyed the opportunity to learn from his relationships with peers, teachers, and coaches. His year at the academy was very successful as he made it through with honors. He has been reoffered the same scholarship at the academy for this year. This past summer in Eskasoni, Arden enrolled in a Mi'kmaq cultural camp that allowed him to reconnect with Mother Nature and learn about our natural resources as well as traditional Mi'kmaq values and practices from Mi'kmaq elders. Arden has proven himself and to his community that he is a responsible, independent, and mature young man who remains successful in spite of his time away from home and his family at a young age. The second recipient of the Chief Noel Doucette Memorial Award is Jaden Nevin McDonald from Sabaganagati. Jaden is a recent graduate of Hants East Rural High School in Milford Station. She was continuing her studies this fall at Dalhousie University, where she plans on working toward becoming an occupational therapist after receiving her Bachelor of Arts. As a Mi'kmaq youth, she strives to be a positive role model to her family, friends, and community. She enjoys sports and was recently on Team Nova Scotia at the North American Indigenous Games in Regina playing volleyball. Ms. McDonald prides herself on being a team player and enjoys the opportunity to support her team while personally working and playing hard. She's also a volunteer in her community at various events, including the Elephant Thoughts program, which is a science camp. And as a camp leader, she likes to sharing the joy and fun of learning science with youth and children. There's a strong cultural component to the camp, which she also appreciates and enjoys. And Jaden hopes to become the first occupational therapist from her community. So I'd like to now ask Julie Towers and Jean Doucette to come forward to present the Chief Noel Doucette Memorial Youth Education Award to both recipients. So Arden and Jaden, can you please come forward to accept your awards? Thank you.
Your mom? Yes. She had to leave her class because she couldn't be there.
Her mom came because she had to go to class. No, come here, take it on her behalf. Come on over. So we'll slide you right in between. Okay, that one's for Jaden. You take that. And then we'll put Arden. This is yours. 'Cause that's
All right, thank you both. Congratulations. Okay, thank you, folks. I'm going to keep moving here. So the province, as a gesture of reconciliation during the 2011 Truth and Reconciliation event held in Halifax, announced the creation of an annual scholarship fund to assist Mi'kmaq scholars studying full-time in a recognized teacher certified education program. And this award is called the Sister Dorothy Moore Mi'kmaq Education Scholarship. So this year we are pleased to present this scholarship to 4 recipients. And I'm going to read again all 3 of their biographies, and then I'll ask afterwards all 4 recipients to come to the stage to accept their awards. So the first recipient of this award is Helena Noel Sack. She's from Sibaganagati Mi'kmaq community. In 2005, Elena graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree from St. Mary's University. She is now in her 2nd year of the Bachelor of Education program at Mount St. Vincent University. And her career goal is to come back and teach at the LSK school and help students there gain success. The biggest challenge for Elena was going back to school after having quit her studies and then watching her cousin graduate from high school. She decided to return to school at the Indian Brook High School and succeeded with the support of staff there. She went on and graduated from SMU and worked for a number of years as a classroom assistant. When the Bachelor of Education cohort was offered in her community through Mount St. Vincent. She signed on, and this year she, along with all other classmates, transferred to Cape Breton University. Helena has shown that success can be achieved through hard work and never giving up. Elena is able to find time to continue with some volunteer activities in her community, where she volunteers at literacy events, most of the school activities, and as a chaperone for school events. Her experiences throughout the years have made her a stronger person who has not given up on her dreams of becoming a teacher. The second recipient of the Sister Dorothy Moore Mi'kmaq Education Scholarship Award is Shannon Marie Gugu from Waikagaba. In 2014, Shannon graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree from Cape Breton University in Sydney. She plans to continue with her studies at St. Francis Xavier University in Antigonish with a focus on Aboriginal education. Her career goal is to contribute to the improvement of the educational system in her community. The biggest challenge for Shannon was going back to school after 10 years of working. She decided to return after talking it over with her family. Her experiences working at the Wakaba Mi'kmaq School have served her well, giving her strength and insight in her field of study. She's most proud of her success as it demonstrates to her children and especially other women that it's never too late to go back to school and find success. Shannon's able to still find time to continue with volunteer activities in her community. She volunteers as a fundraiser, chaperone, community events such as bingo, church services, and elder parties. It's this drive to succeed as a student and as a parent that she feels will benefit her own children. The third recipient of the award is Jacob Gale from Eskasoni Mi'kmaq Community. In 2013, Jacob graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree from Cape Breton University in Sydney. He's in the second year of the Bachelor of Arts program at St. FX and will graduate in 2015. His career goal is to contribute to the educational system in his community. The biggest challenge for Jacob was going back to school after he left to get full-time employment to support his family. Through those years, he worked as a security guard, a youth addiction counselor, and a youth support worker. Everywhere he worked, people saw his potential and encouraged him to go back to school, which he finally did in 2007. So here he is in 2014, about ready to graduate and achieve his dream of becoming a teacher. Jacob is still able to find time to continue with volunteer activities in his community and his school. He volunteers in community events such as Parents Against Drugs, the Challenging Cursillo movement, and anywhere else he can find and help to promote a healthy lifestyle among today's youth. It's this drive to succeed as a student, as a parent, that he feels will benefit his own child as well. His experience throughout the years have made him a stronger person who has not given up on his dream to become a teacher. And finally, the fourth recipient of the Sister Dorothy Moore Mi'kmaq Education Scholarship Award is Kylie Cabot from Eskasoni. In 2007, Kylie graduated with a Bachelor of Arts from Cape Breton University. She's in her second year of studies at education at CBU and will graduate in 2015. She plans to continue her studies in the future and dreams of becoming a professor at Unama'ki College. Kylie's concerned about the loss of Mi'kmaq language and culture, and she's embraced the cultural aspect and has been part of many events as a dancer and is very proud to be a fluent Mi'kmaq speaker. She sees that the loss of language among the younger generation and is very proud of their immersion project in her community. She hopes to be able to be a part of the solution in teaching the Mi'kmaq language to today's youth. Kylie is able to continue to find time with volunteer activities in her community. She attends powwows as a dancer, volunteers and support activities there. And she also attends traditional sweats and wants to teach these cultural aspects to her future students. So I'd now like to invite both Julie Towers and Sister Dorothy Moore to come forward and present the award. So award recipients, can you please come forward?
Paparazzi are here, folks. Okay. Thank you.
Congratulations again to the award recipients. And now I'd like to invite Chief Leroy Denny to introduce the Donald Marsher Senior Memorial Scholarship Fund winners and to present the awards. Chief?
Devolotio. Gusnultio. I was having a stomach growling contest with Chief Sid over there. We have two recipients. The first recipient of the Donald Marshall Senior Graduate Award is Jennifer Sillaboy from the Escazona First Nation community. Jennifer has completed all coursework of her master's program at the University of Alberta. She will be graduating with a Master's of Science in Renewable Energy in November, which will be the first for a Mi'kmaq woman. Her goal is to contribute to the self-sufficiency of her community with respect to energy needs in an environmentally friendly manner. Renewable energy is the way of the future, and her field of work will provide her with the skills and insight our communities so badly need. When she first graduated, she took a job as a math tutor at the Escazona High School. There she volunteered in most of the school activities, fundraising, and also with grad trips. She's a proud mom of a 5-year-old girl. It was because of her daughter that Jennifer went back to school. I want to instill in her the importance and benefits that a good education will bring her, Jennifer says. Jennifer lives in Escazona, and though there have been many challenges, she has fought hard on the long road toward success. The second recipient of the Donald Marshall Senior Undergraduate Award is Nathan Pay. He is from the Millbrook Mi'kmaq community. Nathan is presently in his second year of study in electrical engineering. He plans to continue his studies with the focus on solar energy engineering and horticulture. His main goal is to help his community become self-sufficient in energy and food needs. The biggest challenge for Nathan was in going back to school after having quitting school due to addiction problems and ADD. Shortly after returning to school, his father passed away, but he managed to work through his grief and pass all his courses last year. He is doing better this year, and with the support of scholarships, is able to survive financially. He works as a tutor at his college, and this has helped him with the added hardship of raising a family. Those life experiences have served him well, giving him strength and insight to be the success he is today. He is most proud of his success as he demonstrates to his children, and especially First Nation people, that it is never too late to go back to school and find success. Nathan has shown that success can be achieved through hard work and never giving up. Nathan is able to find time to continue with volunteer activities at his school. He volunteers as a tutor, writes a monthly newsletter, and even did a video for TEDx. The theme was resilience, and it can be accessed by typing in Peyton Pay into Google. It is this drive to succeed as a student and as a parent that he feels will benefit his own children. His experiences through the years have made him a stronger person who has worked hard to obtain success. Both Jennifer and Nathan are here, unable to attend, so we have Jerry Ann Marshall and Spencer Wilmot to accept on their behalf. Thank you. Jerry Ann, Nick? Up and below, yeah? And Spencer? Spencer here? Okay.
Thank you, Chief Denny. So the proclamation for Mi'kmaq History Month, as you may know, was signed on October 1st, 1993. And in that proclamation, both Nova Scotia government and the Mi'kmaq recognized that the peace and friendship aspects of the treaties signed in the 1700s required much greater public awareness of the history, values, and diversity of cultures. To this end, each year a poster is developed to commemorate this important event through a long-standing partnership between the Mi'kmaq and the provincial and federal colleagues. Over the past 8 years, Gerald Globe, Mi'kmaq Debert Cultural Center Programs Development Officer, has provided his artistic ability, culture and traditional knowledge, and guided by the Mi'kmaq History Month Committee to produce some wonderful posters, which I hope all of you have been able to pick up a copy at the door or on the way out. This year's focus was on communication, aduquen. As noted by artist Gerald Globe, when we asked him to describe the poster, he said this: the Mi'kmaq have orated their history for thousands of years. We've been here for at least 13,000 years. Through pictographs, petroglyphs, hieroglyphs, our ancestors have left us visuals that we can attach to our oral legends. And he went on to further say, these are all the visuals of the themes that are on the concept of communication that goes into the poster. The moon, nighttime stories, the falling stars, the badus with the wampum belt, the petroglyphs on the rock. You can even see the generation of our ancestors in the background where we get our stories. I now call upon Grand Chief Ben Siliboy and Grand Captain Andrew Denny to come forward and unveil the 2014 Mi'kmaq History Month poster. Thank you, Grand Chief and Grand Captain. So we've now reached the part of the ceremony. We're coming into the home stretch involving the symbolic exchange of gifts. So I'd like to invite CEO Julie Towers, Grand Chief Ben Siliboy, and Regional Director Janine Dunlop to come forward for the symbolic exchange of gifts.
This is for you, Grand Chief. This might be heavy.
Thank you.
And this is for you as well. Canada.
From Canada.
This one's for you. Oh, thank you. You're official. This is for you. Yeah, do I get to look? I'm nosy.
these are from the Grand Chief to the federal government and the province.
You get to give them to us.
Yeah.
What a deal. Do you want me to?
Do you want, thank you. Thank you.
For the province, yeah.
Thank you.
I thought you said you still had a good breakfast.
This way. Julie?
I didn't eat a good breakfast, Mike.
Now you get to eat.
Yeah, I guess.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're nearing the very end of our ceremony, and I'd ask you to now rise for the national anthem that will be led by Miss Johnson, who will sing the anthem in Mi'kmaq. Miss Johnson, could you please come forward?
O Canada, gamigi na rinuk, nuid nek, when geji doch tanto ju, saki salulek, megi den mulek, giz negau kelmiek. Dante siego Canada apque ule kisa Mahamigel Westa ukewe O Canada apque ule gisa O Canada, Queulek, Gisa.
What a voice. So thank you for coming to today's ceremony. It's provided an opportunity to recognize the contributions of the Mi'kmaq to the province's history, culture, and economy. And at this year, we modified the schedule, having the award ceremony preceding the feast. And I know there's a lot of hungry people in the room, so we'd certainly like to hear your feedback on whether this format worked and how we might improve it. So we welcome you to join as the celebrations continue with the Mi'kmaq Gathering Feast in this room immediately following the conclusion of the awards ceremony. But I'd please ask you to stay seated until after members of the official party have moved to their tables in preparation for the feast. So please have a pleasant afternoon and safe travels home, and the feast will be underway shortly.